The topic that Arya liked a long time ago. It's an amazing class. As I was preparing the notes for this class, I realized how practical this class is and how much it actually helped me today to come to balance, to realize what's going on in the world. To understand what do we mean by opponent? Who is our opponent in our life? Who is your opponent in your life? Is it your spouse? Is it your brother and sister? Is it your neighbor? Is it your partner? Is it... who is your opponent?
Ego.
Ah.
Myself.
All right, the class is finished, we can go home. What is ego? What is ego? What is this ego? Why ego is my opponent? Why can't I have ego? Why can't I feel, if I feel good about myself, do I have ego? If I feel like I've accomplished something, is there anything wrong with that? If I go home tonight and I tell myself, that was a great class, I did a good job, is there anything wrong with that?
No.
Is that ego?
No.
It is ego.
It's a good ego.
Should I be, how should I feel about it when I go home? I go, wow, what a class I had. That's ego. Is it bad? Is it good? Is ego bad?
No.
So the opponent is good. Why is it good?
It's part of our nature.
It's part of our nature? Where did we get this ego? Where did it come from?
Drive.
How did we inherit it?
It's a selfishness.
It's selfishness, but where did it come from?
From God. You're right.
From God. What do you mean from God?
You were
How did we
born
get it
with
from God?
You were born with it.
We were born with it, but it's.
We learn.
I'm sorry.
We learn.
We learn
We learn
to
to be
egoistic.
Well, it's natural because you need to get your needs met.
Yeah,
A baby cries because it needs food.
nice. There is this righteous person, Baal Shem Tov. You might have heard about him. He's a phenomenon Kabbalist, and he says that there is a remedy for every negative behavior or consciousness that we have. You can change it. If you're a liar, if you don't want to lie, you can stop it and not to lie anymore. If you're jealous, you can stop being a jealous person. If you're an angry person, you can stop that anger. Every negative trail that we have, everything, every aspect of negativity that we have, you can change it. You can stop it. You can put it away for good. Any negative consciousness, any negative behavior that we have, we can remove it and you can put it away. But he says there is one thing that you cannot get rid of. One thing we cannot get rid of, and that's ego. Why? Why can't I say, you know what? I hate you, ego. I'm going to be a very, very humble person. I'm going to go home tonight, no matter how good the class was. I'm going to tell myself, forget about it. It wasn't so good. Don't be so proud of yourself. Don't think you're better than somebody else, because at the end of the day, ego is when you think you're better than somebody else, or you are superior to something. You're doing something that nobody can done. That's ego. And he says you can get rid of anything that is in your consciousness, anything that is in your behavior. Any negative thought you can change. Any negative speech you can change. Any negative action, you can put it away. You can destroy it, not to have it anymore. But ego, you can push it back, but it comes back. You could tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to be humble tonight, and you may be successful for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, a whole day, but again, tomorrow morning, the ego comes back again. It always comes back. It's something that you can never get rid of. Why? Why can't we get rid of ego? Because it's part of God. It is part of God. And because we are part of God, when God gave His essence to us, God doesn't think Himself less than us. He's by no means less than human being. We know that. So He has entitled to have ego. Right? And because He has that, and we inherited from Him, He gave it to us. It's part of His essence. It's part of our essence. So there is no way you can destroy it. He gave it to us. So don't come and tell me I don't have ego. You know, some people come and actually do tell me, oh, I have no ego. Because ego comes in different forms. Ego is the opponent. You are absolutely right. Is ego the real me? Is ego the real part of me? Yeah, go ahead and please turn that on. That would be nice. Is ego the real me? Did everybody got the question?
No.
Is ego the real part of you? What is the real part of you?
What do you mean?
I mean, we have ego, right? We understand we all have ego. It's part of us. Ego comes in a different form. Ego could be someone who walks into the door and walks like this, and you can tell, oh, he's got ego. Or it could be someone very, very shy and sit at the corner. That's ego too. Someone who thinks I'm capable of doing everything has ego. Someone who thinks there is nothing I can do, I'm not capable of doing anything, that's ego too.
Jealousy.
I'm sorry?
Jealousy is another ego.
Jealousy is the
Worries,
byproduct of ego.
anxiety.
Anxiety is the byproduct of ego. Yes. So is it true essence of, yes?
Sorry, I wanted to ask, can you explain why the person who's shy or doesn't with confidence or sits in that corner, that example?
Who tells the person who's shy to be shy?
Okay. Ego.
Ego.
Okay.
Because the soul doesn't want you to be shy. We have two parts. We are made of two different energy force, two different consciousness. The consciousness of our soul and the consciousness of our ego. The consciousness of our soul wants to be just like God. Wants to be good, wants to be sharing, wants to be caring, wants to be provider, wants to be the cause. The part of your soul wants to be the cause of your life. The ego is the part of you who is afraid, who is worried, who has doubt, who has victim consciousness. That's ego. Let me go back a little bit. Let me make you guys understand, how did we get here? We're all here in this physical world. How did we get here? What was the reason that God created this physical world?
He was born.
According to Kabbalah, there was a time before the Big Bang, before the physical revelation of the Genesis. There was a force that we call the Creator, God. This force it was all about pure positive energy. That's what God is. That's what the Creator is. He was all about giving and sharing. Then God wanted it to manifest His sharing, His love, His compassion. So He created a vessel. He created a vessel that could receive His light, His love. So at the beginning, before the physicality, there was this energy who wanted to share. Then there was this energy force who wanted to receive. Cool? God wanted it to share. The vessel wanted it to receive. There was a perfect harmony between the light, God, and the vessel who wanted to receive. Just like you want something from your parents. And parents loves to give you what you want. So at one point there was this beautiful harmony between the light and the vessel. But then something went wrong. I know this is a little bit technical, but if we understand it, we totally understand the purpose of us being here and the purpose of the opponent and the ego. God wanted it to share. Vessel wanted it to receive everything that God wants to give. And there was this perfect harmony. But when the vessel received all the light, it was no longer a vessel. It was a vessel full of light, just like God. If you have a cup that is empty, and then you fill it up with water, that cup is no longer a simple cup. It's a cup of water. Now its characteristic is quite different now. It's not just a simple cup now. Now it's water. So the vessel was full of light itself, was just like God. So the vessel no longer wanted it to receive because it already had all the light. So he told God, you know what? I'm no longer a receiver. I'm just like you. I want to share. I want to be just like, I want to be the cause. I don't want to be the effect. I want to be cause like you. But there was nobody to share with. God didn't need what he gave to the vessel. The light didn't need to get back the light that it gave to the vessel. So there was a problem. Who am I going to share with? So we said, God, if I cannot share, if I cannot be like you, don't give me anymore. Just like, let's say you have a good friend. You have a rich friend who takes you out to lunch today. Nice, he buys you a nice lunch. And tomorrow he calls you again and says, I want to take you out to lunch again. Thank you. You go out to lunch again. Third day, I want to take you out to lunch again. Now, on the third day, you don't feel so comfortable. Everybody is buying you lunch. He says, you know what? I like to buy you a lunch myself. Or, you know, it's just too much. I cannot handle free lunch every day. You don't feel comfortable someone buying you lunch all the time. You want to return the favor. You don't feel good because it just doesn't feel good. The vessel didn't feel good anymore. He said, I want to be like you. I want to be productive like you. I want to be caring like you. I want to give back what you gave me. But there was nobody that the vessel could share the light with. So the Big Bang happened. This physicality came about. God created this illusionary game of physical world, and he created different vessels, And it gave them an opportunity so they could share with each other and feel good about being who they are. When do you really feel good about yourself? When do you really, really feel good about yourself? When you receive something or when you give something? When you give something. There is a pleasure in receiving, but it's very, very temporarily. But when you earn it, when you give back, you feel wonderful. The pleasure of giving lasts forever. The pleasure of sharing lasts forever. But the pleasure of receiving, it's very, very temporary. So we are here, we're all here to become like God, to be giver, because that's how we receive fulfillment. That's how we feel good about ourselves. But then I have to earn this. If I don't earn it, there is no pleasure in it. If I don't earn what I have, I don't enjoy it. If you cheat on a test and you get 100, you might enjoy it for a day or two. That you cheated, you got 100. But you really didn't earn it, so you didn't learn. And after a while, you don't really feel good about yourself. But if you study and you work hard and you learn and you pass the test, you feel wonderful. You feel amazing. So there has to be a system of test. There has to be a system of earning. There has to be an opponent. You know, if you watch basketball, the Lakers, if they give the Lakers the best players in NBA, and the rest of the teams, they'll be all very average players. And every time the Lakers play with these average teams, they win by 100 points. Would it be fun?
No, it'd be boring.
It would be boring. You like to watch the Lakers when they're playing with somebody who is as good as them, and you love it when they achieve that victory. That's when you want to watch them. That's how they earn it. That's how you become a championship. By beating someone as good as you or even better than you. So we needed the opponent. The opponent is somebody that I need to make me feel like God, to make me feel wonderful. So when we have challenges in our life, when we have tests in our life, when we have obstacles in our life, these are the elements that we need to have to reach that fulfillment state of mind, to feel good about it. If there is no challenge in my life, if I'm sitting in my comfort zone all day, there is no fulfillment in it. If nobody challenges me, if there is no opponent in my life, there's not going to be any fulfillment, any blessing in my life. There has to be tests in my life. There has to be challenges in my life. Now, what is the tool of this opponent? So we understand, so far we understand that we're here to achieve a goal, to become like God, because that's how I feel good about myself. I want to be happy all the time. We're supposed to be happy 24/7. We're supposed to be happy 24/7 every day. Every time we're not happy, you know why? What causes you not to be happy?
Yourself.
When you don't appreciate the opponent. When you don't appreciate the challenges. So this opponent has a tool to knock you out. This opponent has a major tool to knock you out of the ballgame. And that's called in Kabbalah reactive behavior. Reactive behavior. I have a sentence that I want to read to you, and that defines what is reactive consciousness is. Reactive consciousness or reactive behavior is a thought or an action which requires no effort and connects us to instant gratification, being the effect, impulsive, victim consciousness, receiver, or motivated by lack. Reactive consciousness or reactive behavior causes you to feel needy, hurt, victim consciousness, selfish behavior. And as long as I stay in the realm of reactive consciousness, I will never achieve what I'm here to achieve, and I'm never happy. You know, Rabbi Berg used to say, we're not here to be good people. We're here to be better people, to change ourselves, to transform ourselves from a reactive behavior person to a proactive behavior person or consciousness. You know, I want to share with you guys some of the typical reactive behavior. And I'm sure on this list that I have, some of it might hit home. And I'm going to go one by one and I'm going to discuss it. And don't feel bad if you hear something and it resonates with your consciousness. Understand this is something that I need to change or you need to change to become a proactive person. If you're someone that worries, you're a reactive person. Do you worry? Yeah? You worry, right? We worry about almost everything. Right? Does God worry? No. Why do we worry? Because let me continue with the list because I think it's going to get every one of us. If you have doubt in your life, you're a reactive person. Do you have certainty all the time? Who has certainty all the time? Who has doubt? Could you raise your hand if you have doubt in your life? If you complain, period, complain about anything, food, clothes, weather, traffic, anything. If you complain, you're a reactive person. If you argue with someone to prove yourself right, you're a reactive person. If you're just trying to prove your point, you're a reactive person. If you try to fix your reputation right away, you're a reactive person. If you stay in your comfort zone, if you love to stay in your comfort zone and you don't want challenges, you don't want anything to bother you, you don't want anybody to challenge you, you're a reactive person. If you're looking for validation, you're a reactive person. Shall I continue?
Yes, yes.
That's everyone.
If you're trying to fix problems right away, a challenge comes, a problem comes, and you want to fix it right away, you're a reactive person. If you are someone who likes to please people all the time, if you're a pleasing people character, you're a reactive person. If you take care of yourself first in everything, you're a reactive person. Shall I continue?
Yes.
I love this one. If you get angry for all the good reason, for all the right reason, but you still get angry, you're a reactive person. If you do something because of need, you're a reactive person. Oh my God. If you do things, if you do good things and somehow you know people to know that you did the good things, you're a reactive person. If you're impatient, you're a reactive person. If you need everything to happen your way, you're a reactive person. If you always have answer for everything, you're a reactive person. If you want to fix everybody else's problem, you're a reactive person. If you celebrate everything that something good happens to you, you're a reactive person. If you sink to the sadness when something bad happens to you, you're a reactive person. If you spend too much time on Facebook or Instagram, you're a reactive person. If you're still keeping this, this is so cute. If you're still keeping the phone numbers of the old boyfriend or the old girlfriend, you're a reactive person. Shall I go back to the list, or that's enough?
You got the idea. I think we realize we're all
If you're
reactive.
alive, then you're just.
If you eat lunch, you're...
So, in a nutshell, every time we're not a cause of everything that happens in our life, every time that I don't take responsibility for everything that happens in my life, I become a reactive person. If I totally understand that God is giving me everything that I need at any moment of my life, if I have absolute certainty, if I understand God wants to give me what is good for me at every second of my life, at every moment of my life, would I be worried about what the challenge is? Would I care what people will think about me? Would I be reactive? Would I be sad? If I know that Coke is not good for me and water is good for me, and God only provides water for me, would I be stupidly sad about it? So every time that I accept the responsibility of my life, accept everything that happens in my life and it's good for me, it's perfect for me, and it's produced and created by the light force for my well-being, for my evolvement, for my growth, then I understand that I can be the cause of my happiness, and I'm a proactive person and not a reactive person. Everything that I read in that list has to do by not accepting the responsibility of who we are and where we are, and not wanting the thing our way versus what God wants to give me. You know, want to give you a formula of how to change our reactive behavior to proactive behavior. Now that we learn we're all reactive people, we all become emotional, sensitive, worried, doubt, self-centered, impatient. Now that we learn we all have that in ourselves, and I want to change it. I want to be happy all the time. I want to be the cause of my life. I want to be in control of my life. I want to be a proactive person. How is the formula? I want all of you to think for a second, a challenge that you had today, or the last few days, if today you were too relaxed and nothing really happened to you. The last few days, or today, something happened that emotionally triggered you. Emotionally, you got hurt, you were unhappy, something happened that you didn't like. Can you think of something in your life, today or the last few days? Something did something to you. Something happened to you. Some challenge that totally unbalanced you, made you sad, made you mad, hurt you, disappoint you. Think about it. What was it that bothered you today or the last few days? Who was it? What was it? How did you feel about it? Did it make you sad? Did it make you angry? Did it disappoint you? Was it hurtful? And then, what reaction did you do towards it? Did you confront? Did you express your feeling? Did you get back to it? Did you have a shot of tequila to forget about it? What did you do? Now, everybody had this challenge?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Stay with me. I want to tell you a story. Story of one day of the life of this man who's married and has a 4-year-old boy. So this guy goes to work every day. He gets up, he wants to go to work, and he sees his wife is sleeping. He's hungry, he wants to make breakfast. He goes to the kitchen, he wants to make eggs for himself. There is no eggs in the kitchen. He wants to make a coffee. There is no milk, there is no coffee in the refrigerator. So there is nothing for him to take. All right, I'll go outside and go to Starbucks. He gets into the car, he realizes that his wife used the car last night and there is not a drop of gas in the car. So he calls in, someone brings a gallon of gas, puts it in the car, drives down the hill to go to a gas station. He realized he had a flat tire. So he calls in AAA, somebody comes in, now he has an appointment at 1 o'clock and he's running late. So the AAA comes in, fixes the tires, gets into the car, gets on 101 freeway or 405, whichever your direction is, and all of a sudden it's a parking lot. If he would have left at 6 o'clock, that he always does, there would have been less traffic. Now that it's like to 8:30, 9 o'clock, it's a jam-packed traffic. So he gets to work, he loses the meeting. His boss shouts at him that you're not responsible, you're always late, you didn't finish the project, we lost millions of dollars. So he has a rough day. He has a rough day. He's tired, he's frustrated, he hasn't had anything for breakfast or lunch. He gets into the car, gets into the freeway, he realizes the light of the engine comes on. There's something wrong with the car. He pulls aside, he calls for an Uber, it's raining, the Uber doesn't show up, there's a traffic. So he finally gets home at 8:30 at night. He's hungry, he's frustrated, he had a rough day, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. So he goes home, wants to open the door, he doesn't have the key, forgot to take the key. So he rings and rings and rings and nobody opens the door. He knocks on the door and nobody opens the door. So he goes, break a window, goes inside, what happened to my wife? He goes in and he sees his boy, the 4-year-old boy, took a marker and painted on this beautiful picture, beautiful portrait that he bought, and it was an antique picture, and he bought, and it totally destroyed. And there is no wife. There is no smell of food. Right?
Is he gonna make up?
Okay. Let's stop right here. Let's stop right here. Was the challenge that you went through the last day, today, or a few days, was it as bad as what he went through? No. Okay. So what does this guy do? If it was you, what would you do? What would you do? And you open the door and you see your wife is sleeping in the bed. Right? No food. The kids is all running all around in the house.
Morning or nighttime? Which one?
Huh? No. After he comes home, he sees the wife is still in the bed.
Is she by herself?
I could have had that too, but no. She's by herself.
That's what I was expecting.
Oh boy. Sleep that long.
But one day you can take it, but
Oh, you can take that day.
one day truly, but it's going to be constantly, it's going to be one.
No, let's stay with one that day.
One day
Just imagine yourself as this gentleman who just went home, had the roughest day of his life, and he goes home and he's tired, he's hungry. He wants love, he wants care, he wants compassion, he wants his wife to hear how bad a day he had. He wants to complain, he wants to vent. به قول ما ایرونی‌ها میخواد درد دل کنه, right? Exactly. What would you do? What are your choices? He could be total reactive person, like every one of us, at all the time, just like what you have done towards the hurt or the challenge that you had today or just a few days. Every time that the challenge comes, and every time, every day, the challenges will come. You cannot push it back, because that's how you earn your proactive. That's how you earn your light. Through challenges, through obstacles. The only reason that the challenges comes is for you to earn light, to change yourself, to improve yourself, to gain something. So this man had all kind of challenges for one moment when he got home. Now, if he wouldn't have come to the Kabbalah class tonight, he goes home, and rightfully so, he screams at his wife, "What's going on? There is no food. What are you doing? You're sleeping all day. The kids destroyed the picture. You don't know what I went through." Right? 99% of us will do that. That's a reactive behavior. Now, how could he be a proactive person?
Make himself dinner.
He could say,
Go to sleep.
wait a minute. God is creating all these challenges for one reason, for me to change myself, for me to be a proactive person. Wait a minute. He controls himself. He pauses for a second. He restricts his reactive behavior. And he says, well, maybe my wife was sick this morning that she didn't get up out of the bed. Maybe she was so sick that she didn't get out of bed. Maybe she's still very sick and she's in bed. Maybe I shouldn't have gone to work today. Maybe should I have stayed and see what was wrong with her in the morning. Maybe I should have taken care of the little boy at home. And then he becomes a proactive person. And instead of yelling and screaming and destroying, then he becomes the father that he should be. So how did he change his reactive behavior to proactive behavior? How did he change all that negativity and darkness to light? He paused for a second. He pushed back. He said, just wait a minute. Why this is happening for me? Not why this is happening to me. Why this is happening for me. We always say, why this is happening to me? Immediately when you say, why this is happening to me, you're becoming reactive. You're not the cause. You're an effect. If it's happening to you, you're not the cause. You're an effect. You're in a reactive situation already. Once you question that why is it happening to you? But when you say, why is it happening for me? Because this is happening for me. This is a situation being brought up by the light force for me. If things are not happening my way, because there is something for me to learn, there is something for me to understand, there is something for me, there is an opportunity for me to grow, to earn, to evolve. So the first thing we do, I'll give you time for it. The first thing we have to do every time a challenge comes, and we emotionally become affected by it, we have to pause. 1 second. Why this is happening for me? Why God is creating this situation for me? When you shut down your reactive behavior, when you push it back, when you push back the ego, you remember we talked about the ego? Who wants to scream? The ego. Who wants to complain? The ego. Who's having a bad day? The ego. Is the soul unhappy about this situation? Is the soul unhappy about this situation? No. The soul wants all these challenges. You remember the soul wants to be like the light force. The soul wants to be the cause, not the effects. The soul wants to share, wants to give, wants to be productive, wants to be positive, wants to have control. So it's the ego who complains and blames and poor me, what a bad day. This is the ego, this is the opponent. And that causes you to be a reactive person. That causes you to be sad, frustrated, angry. So it's not the wife, the husband, the friend, the partner, the weather, the government that makes me sad or unhappy. It's my reactive behavior who makes me sad and angry and unhappy. It's never outside of me. It's my reactive behavior who causes me to be unhappy. It's my reactive behavior who causes me to be angry. It's my reactive behavior who causes me to be miserable. It's not them. Everything happens for you, to give you a chance. Everything happens to you in life for only one purpose. Only one purpose. To make you change. To change you from a reactive person to a proactive person. That's all. That's all. And the more challenges you have, the more powerful you become. The more light you bring into this life. And what's so amazing is that the light force always gives you as much as you can handle. Not an inch more. Not an ounce more than what you can handle. If you think it's too much, it's your reactive behavior who thinks it's too much. It's the ego who thinks it's too much. Some people come to me and say, oh, it's pouring for me. Everything that can go wrong could go wrong. And I always remember the silly example that I always use in my basic Kabbalah classes. The poor guy who ran into all these challenges all day. Everything that happened to this man was for that moment when he came home and he saw that his wife is still in the bed. It happened for that moment. Everything that happens to you every day, It's for that moment that you pause and you see why this is happening for me. Because it's not about the destination. It's not about where I'm supposed to be. It's how I'm going through the process. How I'm going through the process. Am I enjoying the process of my life? Am I enjoying the challenges of my life? Am I perceiving them? The most basic formula in Kabbalah, in changing yourself from a reactive behavior to proactive behavior, it's so simple. Just to push back, just pause, just don't react for a second. Don't react as long as you don't have the answer for it. If you want to confront someone, someone really, really hurt you, somebody broke your heart, somebody destroyed you, somebody stole all your money, ruined your reputation, all that, and you want to go confront, and you want to go kill. Why do you want to go kill and confront and destroy and return the favor? Because you're a reactive person. He is only igniting, awakening your reactive behavior. He's not the problem. She's not the problem. There are actually angels in our life that they are awakening my reactive behavior. Where am I vulnerable? Am I vulnerable of people talking bad about me? Am I vulnerable about people stealing money from me? Am I vulnerable about people not praising me? Am I vulnerable about people not giving me attention that I want? What am I vulnerable of? What is my shortcoming? Where is my reactive behavior? Where is my ego? Where is the ego hiding? Where is it? And then God comes and brings everybody in your life, every car in front of you in the freeway that's going 20 miles and you need it to go 60 miles. It's there for you. To tell you, you have no patience. You have no understanding. Every time an old lady comes in front of you and driving 15 miles an hour, God sent that old lady in front of you. Wants to awaken your vulnerability. Wants to awaken where your ego is. Where is your reactive behavior is. So again, my opponent is not outside. It's not the family, the friends, co-worker, business, government. No, it's my reactive behavior is my opponent. And the only way to control it is just to pause. Just to pause. How long this pause should be?
As long as you're ready to
How do you become ready to confront? Now, you have to pause and say, God, Hashem, whatever, light, why this is happening for me? Show me. Show me. Tell me. Maybe you do need to confront. Maybe you need to discipline. Maybe you need to say what you need to say to your friends. But from which angle are you going to come? From the angle of reactivity and anger and hate, or proving your point, everything in that list that I read earlier. Is it coming from those angles? Is it from the lack? Is it from the victim consciousness? Is it from proving everything that I read? Then you want to push back. You want to confront, but you want to confront from the point of proactivity. God, why is this happening for me? Why is this happening for me? Show me. What is it that I need to change in myself? Maybe you do need to confront people, but from the angle of proactivity, not from the point of anger and revenge, but from the point of love. From the point of light, to be like the light force. You know, it says, if you kill, you're going to be killed. You're going to get killed. This is the law. Hand for a hand, tooth for a tooth, right? It's in the Torah. Does the judgment comes all the time at that moment? Why doesn't? God gives you pause. God gives you time. God is not revengeful. God is not reactive. God doesn't get affected by the darkness in this world. Just like the question, the beautiful question that Arya Janu asked this afternoon. How am I going to react to this very dark incident that happened in Pittsburgh last Saturday? How am I going to look at it? Why is this happening for us? For us. What is it to learn? Are we spreading enough love in this world?
No.
Are we spreading enough compassion in this world? Are we to blame? Should we be more understanding, more compassionate? And the answer is always yes. You know, this concept of restriction or pause is such a powerful formula to change yourself from a reactive person to proactive. And you can see it. You can see it everywhere how it works. There's this concept that says, as above, so below. I always use this example because Rabbi Berg used to use this example. You know how the mechanism of the light bulb works? A light bulb. In a light bulb, there are two poles, a positive pole and a negative pole. Right? The current comes from a positive pole, wants to share, wants to give, the voltage wants to come in, and there is a negative pole in a light bulb that wants to receive this energy. Now, the negative pole wants to receive, the positive pole wants to share. And if you put these two together, what happens? First you see this huge light, right? And then the bulb gets destroyed, becomes dark. But if you put a resistor, a filament between the two, it creates light. You put a 10 volt resistor in there, it gives you 10 volt light. If the resistor is stronger, is a 100 volt resistor, it gives you 100 volt lights. The more the resistor pushes back these two poles, the more light it creates. The more you push it back, the more light you reveal in this world. If you don't push it back, if you let it go, if you become reactive, yeah, you're going to feel good for a split second. You know, when you complain, you feel good, right? You feel good. Does it solve the problem? No, you actually makes you feel worse. You actually make it worse than it is. If it's 90 degrees, you say, well, I was 100 degrees. Does it make you cool? No. So when I complain, when I don't apply restriction, when I don't control myself, does it help? No. You feel good for a split second, just like when you put the two poles together and there is a bright light, but then the bulb gets destroyed, gets all dark. So there is this opponent has this element to it that's called instant gratification. For an instant you feel good. You went, you sit with your friend, you say, you know what this guy did to me? This guy stole all my money. This guy destroyed me. This guy talked about me, right? And you're venting and you're venting. For that moment you feel good because you're destroying somebody else, right? But what happens? You become even more hateful towards him. At the end of the day, when you leave him, you have more hate for him than you had before you went. Especially if he or she gives you, oh yeah, You feel good for that split second, right? But then the darkness becomes even more and more. You know what's the problem with drugs? Just like what happens with the instant gratification. You know, when people use heroin or cocaine, for a split second, they feel amazing. They feel, actually, according to Kabbalah, they reach the realm of Bina, which is wow. Wow, split second. But how long does it last? I don't know. I heard it's very short time. And then they drop down. Then they want to go back again. But there is no way back to go again unless they use more drugs. More drugs. Then they become, they get destroyed by it. They lose everything. Because they went for that split, momentarily, gratification, joy. But when you push it back, when you earn it, when you change things, when you pause, how long this pause should be? As long as I'm not angry anymore. As long as I'm not sad anymore. As long as you know, sometimes we pause, but we don't ask the light to come in. You have to ask the light to come in. You have to ask the God to come in and help you. That's why we pray. That's why we meditate. We ask the God to come in. That's why I always encourage everybody to say the Ana B'Koach. Before you make a decision, before you take a test, before you take a job, before you do anything. Say Ana B'Koach. Why? Because you're pausing. You're asking the light to come in. And the light will come in. You know, they say God always stays outside. The light doesn't come in unless you ask Him to come in. God gives you the free will. He's not going to come in if you don't ask Him to come in. That's your free will. If you ask Him, He will come in. Absolutely.
I always ask Him to win the lottery. Never comes in.
Lottery is instant gratification too. We don't earn it, and we see it's actually a good joke. Everybody that wins lottery ends up being in depression, losing everything, losing a relationship.
Unbalance. Something that is unbalanced.
Very unbalanced. So I never buy lottery ticket. I don't believe in it. I believe in earning it. When you earn it, you feel good. Yeah, when you win the $100 million for a day, 2 days, a month, but then it destroys you, just like drugs. It destroys you because you didn't earn it. Now you see how many millions of reactive people we have. People who buy so many tickets because they don't want to work. They don't want to earn it. They want to get it just like what we talk about. So that's it for tonight. Juna.
I have a question.